Hi, my name is Aaron Dowd. I'm known around the internet as the Podcast Dude. I started editing podcasts back in 2012, and in early 2014, I quit my job as a front end web developer to work on podcasts full time. I'm currently working on an online course for anyone interested in starting a podcast, and I'll be launching my own podcast soon where I'll be sharing everything I've learned and helping people make their podcasts better. So in this video, I want to share with you why editing a podcast is important, some of the tools I use, and why keyboard shortcuts can save you so much time and are really essential for editing. So editing a podcast is hard and time consuming, but it really is worth it. I spend well over an hour listening through and making edits and adjustments to changelog episodes. Why? Because Adam, Jared, and I care about the quality of the podcast. Not just the way it sounds, but the quality of the content as well. You might think that this level of attention isn't necessary, that most people won't notice that there aren't many long pauses, filler words, coughs, or other background noises. And maybe they won't notice consciously, but I believe that they do subconsciously. They will feel like the show is well produced and high quality, even if they couldn't tell you the exact reason why. I want to use music as an example. A normal listener couldn't tell you why they love certain albums better than others. They will just say that it sounds or feels better to them. And the reason that it does is because there were people who cared about the quality of the recording. The musicians who took the time to master their instruments. The recording engineers who spent years learning which microphones to use and where to put them. The mixing and mastering engineers who balanced and enhanced the sound of the recordings using whatever tools and plugins they had available. All of these things add up to the high quality recordings of songs that people hear and love. And I believe that podcasts should be treated with that same care and attention, and that people will notice the difference, even if they can't explain exactly why. So, editing should be transparent. Listeners shouldn't be able to tell that I've made edits. If a listener notices that edits have been made, I've failed. My goal is to keep their attention on the conversation. Good editing is about removing distractions so the listener can focus on the conversation and the content. So I try to edit in a way that is completely transparent. I achieve this by paying attention to the pacing. People have a natural speaking cadence, so I don't chop up sentences in a way that makes them sound unnatural. You might have heard this when listening to podcasts that are poorly edited. Everything sounds kind of chopped up, and it's kind of annoying. It's just strange and unnatural, and that's not what I want. I also pay attention to the inhales and make cuts that don't remove when someone pauses for breath. This makes the edits less noticeable. I've also learned how to make edits in the actual syllables of the spoken words, but this is fairly challenging and requires some practice. Good editing sets a show apart from average podcasts. So, the editing is what separates great shows from average shows. It shows your listener that you care about the quality of your show and you want the listener experience to be as good as possible. I don't have to remove every single last filler word or pause. I just remove the really obvious ones, and my goal is to make everyone sound like the best and smartest version of themselves. So now I want to talk about the tools I use for editing. Logic Pro 10 is what I do my editing work in. There are a lot of options, including Audacity, Audition, Pro Tools, and Reaper, just to name a few. But I chose Logic because I bought an educational copy way back in 2010 when I wanted to record and produce music, and I just learned it and got comfortable with it, and it works really well for editing podcasts. I love it, but I won't claim that it's better. It's just what I use. Logic comes with a bunch of great plugins. The only plugin that I couldn't live without that isn't a stock Logic plugin is Izotope's RX4 Dialog Denoiser. It does such a great job of removing background noise, and I use it all the time. The two stock plugins that I use the most are the Equalizer and the Compressor. You can solve 90% of common audio problems with these two plugins. The Equalizer plugin lets me balance the audio. If there's too much bass, I can remove some. If there are harsh frequencies in the top end, usually S's, I can remove those. An equalizer can work magic on a track that might otherwise sound terrible. The compressor plugin is used to control the dynamics of the audio track. When most people talk, they don't maintain the same volume. Some parts will be louder than others. I can give you an example of that right now. I'm backing away from the mic, and now I'm getting really excited and talking into it. So the compressor averages out that volume difference by reducing the loudest parts of the track and adding volume to the overall level to make it more consistent. Those two plugins are the most essential tools for enhancing audio quality, and they are included in nearly every editing DAW, or digital audio workstation. If you are going to be editing audio, I strongly suggest that you take the time to learn how to use equalizers and compressors. So I also want to talk about creating and using keyboard shortcuts to get your work done faster. Learning keyboard shortcuts has been a huge time saver for me. I saved so much time because I took the time to learn the shortcuts for everything that I would normally have to find and click with a mouse. The 3 keyboard shortcuts I use the most are mapped to 1, 2, and I think it's called the grave key. It's right above it is the tilde key. It's the key that is left of the 1 on your keyboard. So the 1 key is mapped to the pointer tool. This is just the tool in Logic for moving things around, selecting things, stuff like that. 2 is mapped to the fade tool. This allows me to quickly add short volume fades to regions and cross fades between 2 regions that are sitting next to each other. This helps smooth out those transitions where otherwise there might be a pop or some other kind of noise at the end or beginning of a region. The grave key, or the tilde key, just left of the 1 key, is mapped to delete. I mapped this myself after realizing I was reaching across the keyboard to hit the delete key hundreds of times per episode. Now, my left hand has easy access to delete, which is important for the huge number of times that I hit it. Huge time saver. So that's it for now. I hope that I've been able to share something valuable about editing and why it's important. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. You can email me at aaron@thepodcastdude.com or head over to my website and get in touch. If you're interested in starting a podcast, I'm writing a guide for you. You can sign up and receive updates to that. Also, I'd like to thank Panda Coast for providing the music to this video. The guy who does that, Ryan Varnell, is really, really nice and he makes awesome music. You can head over to SoundCloud and search Panda Coast and go listen to those tracks. They're really, really good, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more from him. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.